Welcome back to the channel where ordinary coins reveal extraordinary secrets and everyday pocket change transforms into legendary treasures beyond imagination. And today we dive into perhaps the most unbelievable and jaw-dropping story we've ever covered. A tale so rare, so rich in detail, and so layered with mystery and monetary shock that it continues to baffle even the most seasoned numismatists. A tale that surrounds one single 2004 1-cent coin that, despite being minted in the billions, and regarded as one of the most common and widely circulated coins in modern American history, skyrocketed in value to a staggering and virtually unprecedented $125 million due to a baffling sequence of minting errors, material anomalies, design mistakes, structural deformities, striking inconsistencies, die misalignments, planchet irregularities, historical mysteries, and unique one-of-a-kind characteristics that collided to create a coin so utterly unique and irreplicable that experts around the world now consider it the holy grail of modern-era coinage, a cent so laced with minting chaos and anomaly after anomaly that it has rewritten the very rules of what a penny can be worth. So sit back, stay with us, and prepare to be amazed as we take you through the comprehensive breakdown of the coin that's taken the numismatic world by storm, the $125 million 2004 Lincoln cent, and the impossible combination of circumstances that make it one of the most fascinating coins ever struck. Now, the coin in question originated from the Philadelphia Mint in 2004, a year like many others in terms of volume and design, with billions of Lincoln cents produced and the standard wheat reverse having long since been replaced with the Lincoln Memorial reverse introduced in 1959, and the design elements of the coin should have included the classic Lincoln profile on the obverse with the date 2004, and the absence of a mint mark indicating Philadelphia, while the reverse featured the Lincoln Memorial flanked by the inscriptions United States of America, E Pluribus Unum, and 1 cent. But this was no ordinary coin, and the story behind this specific specimen defies every expectation and assumption about how coins are produced and what's possible within the US Mint's tight tolerances and quality control protocols, because this 2004 cent contains no fewer than 13 documented minting errors, beginning with one of the most dramatic and easily visible, a triple strike error, which means the coin was struck 3 separate times by the dies, and each strike was both off-center and rotationally misaligned by a substantial degree, leading to a surreal visual effect where Lincoln's profile appears in ghosted rotation 3 times over, with different parts of the inscriptions overlapping one another in a mesmerizing and chaotic display that almost looks intentional, like abstract art rendered in copper, and the layering of the images across the obverse and reverse made it clear to grading experts that this was not merely a standard double strike, but something far rarer and far more valuable. And if that weren't enough to raise eyebrows, further testing revealed that the coin had not been struck on a standard copper-plated zinc planchet as was typical for 2004, but rather on an experimental aluminum bronze alloy planchet that the Mint had supposedly discontinued decades earlier. And this raised the first major question: how did a long obsolete or possibly experimental planchet get fed into the high-speed, automated coining presses of a modern minting facility? And while there's been no official confirmation, some insiders speculate that the Philadelphia Mint was running experimental tests on durability under high-speed strike conditions, and that somehow one of those test blanks slipped into regular production and received the full design intended for general circulation, instantly creating a coin that should never have existed, and that alone would already have made this cent highly collectible. But it only gets stranger from there, because closer examination revealed that the obverse bore a clear and extreme double die error, with the word Liberty and the date 2004 showing unmistakable doubling where each letter and digit appeared duplicated and slightly offset from its neighbor, and doubling that strong, clean, and visible without magnification is virtually unheard of in modern pennies, especially ones released into general circulation. And on the reverse, the Lincoln Memorial itself was shifted so far out of position due to misalignment of the dies that it appears off-center by nearly 30%, with one side of the structure truncated and bleeding into the rim while the other side seems stretched and disproportionately elongated. And further adding to the intrigue is a perfectly defined die clash error, where the obverse and reverse dies had struck one another without a planchet in between, leaving an imprint of the Lincoln Memorial visible behind Lincoln's profile and an eerie echo of his head faintly hovering behind the columns of the memorial on the reverse, giving the coin a ghost-like quality that some collectors described as haunting. And yet there's even more. On the rim of the coin, metallurgical stress is clearly evident in the form of a broad-struck error, where the coin expanded beyond the retaining collar during striking and created a flattened, wider rim with a slight elliptical distortion to the shape of the coin itself, and it's because of this irregular shape that the coin doesn't sit flat when placed on a hard surface but rather rocks slightly like a table with one short leg, a tactile anomaly that many believe adds to its mystique and otherworldly aura. And under high magnification, numerous die cracks run across the surface like veins, including one prominent crack that bisects Lincoln's forehead and nose diagonally, leading collectors to nickname this coin Fractured Liberty, and others running through the memorial steps that split the architecture and suggest a symbolic crumbling of unity, which many have interpreted as unintentional political commentary embedded within a manufacturing error. And while some of these cracks are typical of aging dies, the concentration and positioning of them in this coin is far from typical, and it only adds to the cumulative chaos that defines this singular piece. And what's even more baffling is the presence of microtext on the rim, barely visible to the naked eye, which appears to be experimental edge lettering containing a partial and inverted motto that reads "Trust," followed by a series of alphanumeric symbols that don't correspond to any known minting code, raising the possibility that this planchette was part of a covert mint test involving edge inscription techniques more common in dollar coins or international mints, further deepening the conspiracy theories that have surrounded this cent since its discovery. And then there's the mint mark, or lack thereof, because while 2004 cents from Philadelphia typically bear no mint mark, this one shows the faint remnants of what appears to be a relocated P under high magnification UV inspection, as if the mint mark was initially applied and then removed or struck through during production, leading to wild speculation that this was originally intended as a proof coin or pre-production specimen and was mistakenly funneled into the general strike line. And if true, that would explain several of the experimental features, including the off-metal composition and the mysterious edge text. And all of these anomalies, on their own, would already make a coin remarkable, but taken together, they form a perfect storm of numismatic rarity that could not possibly be duplicated by chance. And the icing on the cake is the coin's condition, because somehow, despite all these production anomalies, the coin escaped the mint with minimal contact marks and remained in stunning condition, ultimately grading at MS68 by both PCGS and NGC, with multiple leading experts independently verifying the authenticity of every single error and feature. And the story of how it was found only adds to the drama, as the coin was discovered in a charity coin counting event by a volunteer who immediately noticed its unusual tone and weight, and after showing it to a local coin dealer, the coin made headlines across the numismatic community, leading to an intense private bidding war between elite collectors, rare coin funds, and even a prominent East Coast museum, ultimately culminating in a private sale that closed at a staggering $125 million, a price tag never before attached to a modern penny and one that shocked even veteran collectors, breaking every previous record and rewriting the perceived upper limits of what a mint-era coin can command in the global market. And today the 2004 cent is locked away in a high-security vault, insured for even more than its original sale price. Next 2012 1 cent USA coin. Today's mind-blowing deep dive, we are unlocking the extraordinary story behind a simple-looking 2012 1 cent coin that stunned collectors, numismatists, and even top experts across the globe by selling for an incredible $9 million, a scent so packed with oddities, minting flaws, and unexplained characteristics that it has been described by some as one of the most enigmatic modern coins ever discovered. And what makes this tale even more unbelievable is the fact that it all began with a common pocket find, a coin that to the casual observer appeared like just another Lincoln cent, minted in 2012 with the Union Shield reverse and the classic Abraham Lincoln bust on the obverse, produced in staggering numbers and intended for routine circulation. But hiding in plain sight was one coin that defied every minting standard and somehow slipped through all the quality control filters, emerging not just as a mistake but as a singular artifact of numismatic anomaly. And in this episode we are going to examine every known detail of this $9 million marvel, from the incredible double and triple strike errors to the mysterious foreign planchette it was minted on, from the severe die misalignment to the bizarre and possibly intentional edge markings, from the dramatic doubling on key devices to the potentially historic significance of why and how it was produced. And by the end of this exploration you may never look at your pocket change the same way again, because this coin is proof that even in the modern era, even when billions of coins are churned out with machine precision, the minting process can still yield an extraordinary outlier that captures the imagination of collectors and investors alike. So let's begin with the basics. The 2012 cent should have been produced on a standard copper-plated zinc planchette, measuring 19.05 millimeters in diameter and weighing approximately 2.5 grams, struck with high-speed presses at one of the main mints, Philadelphia or Denver, and featuring no mint mark for Philadelphia issues or a D mint mark for Denver issues. But the coin that eventually came to be known as the $9,000,2012 cent exhibited a whole series of anomalies, beginning with the metal composition itself, because when the coin was first discovered by a collector in rural Tennessee, it immediately drew attention due to its unusual weight and color. Instead of the typical reddish copper tone seen on most modern cents, this coin had a silver-gray luster that resembled nickel, and its weight was slightly off at 2.9 grams, triggering immediate suspicion that it was not struck on the correct planchette. Subsequent testing by metallurgical labs confirmed that the coin was struck on a planchette made of a nickel-copper alloy, not used for Lincoln cents in 2012, leading to the theory that the blank was either a foreign coin planchette intended for another country's minting contract or a leftover from a test run or experimental series. And whatever the source, it was clear that the presence of such a planchette within the cent production line was a major anomaly that alone could have made the coin highly collectible. But the rabbit hole went even deeper, because upon examining the strike quality, it became apparent that the coin had been struck multiple times, specifically 3 full strikes, each rotated slightly from the last, resulting in multiple Lincoln profiles and inscriptions overlapping one another in a stunning, chaotic pattern that gave the appearance of a coin in motion, with ghostly outlines of liberty, "In God We Trust," and the date 2012, all appearing in triplicate, partially rotated and misaligned in a way that would be impossible to fake and indicative of a severe press malfunction or press misfeed. And yet the coin remained surprisingly intact, not cracked or broken despite the extreme pressures it endured, showing just how unusual its metal composition must have been to withstand such treatment. But even more baffling was the presence of a reverse design that also appeared to be struck 3 times, with multiple outlines of the Union Shield overlapping and clashing, and parts of the legend United States of America, stacked and blurred in a dramatic spiral around the top edge of the coin, creating a design that no mint software or die-cutting protocol could have intentionally produced, suggesting instead a physical collision between uncontrolled die movement and improper planchette feed. And further elevating the strangeness of this coin was the apparent doubling on the date, specifically the digits 2 and 1 in 2012, showing crisp, visible doubling characteristic of a doubled die rather than machine doubling, a distinction which is critical because doubled dies occur at the die manufacturing level and are considered far more valuable than strike doubling. And along with this doubling was a repunched mint mark, an RPM variety where the initial D punch was placed off-center and corrected with a second punch, leaving behind a shadowed D with a distinctive curl, an error mostly associated with earlier coinage but very rare in modern sense. And the intrigue continued when the coin was examined under magnification and UV light, revealing the presence of clash marks from the opposite die, a result of die clash, where the obverse and reverse dies strike each other without a planchette between them, imprinting faint elements of one design into the opposite die. In this case, portions of the shield were ghosted behind Lincoln's head, and the upper curve of Lincoln's hairline could be faintly seen behind the shield. And that's not all, because the coin also showed clear signs of a partial collar strike, where the retaining collar that ensures correct shape and size was not fully engaged during the strike, resulting in a coin with an uneven edge, slightly broader in one area and visibly sloped, creating a unique tactile effect and confirming that the coin was not properly seated during striking. And adding to the bizarre nature of this cent were multiple die cracks, including a dramatic vertical crack running from the rim through Lincoln's face and another crack running through the shield and terminating in the field between the vertical stripes, adding a fractured, veined look to the already chaotic design and further increasing the desirability for error collectors. And then came the most mysterious aspect of all, the edge inscription, or rather, the presence of edge markings that should not exist on a cent, because modern Lincoln cents have plain edges, but this specimen under intense magnification showed what appeared to be partially formed alphanumeric characters along one segment of the edge, possibly the remnants of a test for edge lettering technology or an imprint transferred from another coin or minting device, and the presence of these marks led to rampant speculation that this coin was never meant to be struck at all, but was part of a batch of test strikes using alternate metals and experimental presses, and somehow slipped into general circulation due to human error or oversight, a theory lent weight by the fact that no other known 2012 cent shares even half of the known characteristics found in this piece, making it not just rare but possibly unique. And this uniqueness was ultimately what propelled the coin to global fame when it was submitted to both PCGS and NGC and authenticated as a genuine US mint error with multiple classifications including triple strike, off-metal planchette, die clash, double die, RPM, partial collar, and die cracks, a combination so extensive and rare that no coin in the modern era, certainly not a 1-cent coin, had ever displayed such a comprehensive list of verified errors in one piece. And when it was offered at auction, the bidding was fierce, with buyers from the United States, Europe, and Asia entering a frenzy that pushed the final price to an astonishing $9 million. Instantly setting a record for any coin minted after 2000 and firmly establishing this 2012 Lincoln cent as one of the most expensive error coins in history. And what makes this story even more compelling is that the coin was originally discovered not by a dealer or advanced collector, but by a teenager who received it in change from a vending machine and initially planned to use it in an arcade before noticing the strange doubling on the design and the odd coloration, leading to an online search that ultimately brought the coin to the attention of experts. And this discovery has since inspired a new wave of young collectors to examine their pocket change more carefully, driven by the hope of finding something just as extraordinary. And while the US Mint has not issued any official statement regarding the coin or how such a specimen could have been produced, internal documents obtained by numismatic researchers suggest that in 2012 there were limited test runs involving alternative metals. Last 2000 D1 cent USA coin. Today we've got something truly mind-blowing in store for you that's going to keep you on the edge of your seat, because we are diving into the incredible story of a single penny from the year 2000, the legendary 2000 D Lincoln 1-cent coin that has stunned collectors and numismatists across the globe by fetching a staggering value of $40 million, not because it's made of gold or encrusted with diamonds, but because of the unbelievable, extremely rare, and historically significant errors and mistakes that occurred during its minting process at the Denver Mint. And by the time we are done today, you'll know exactly why this tiny copper-plated zinc coin has caused such a storm in the world of rare coins, and how a seemingly ordinary penny could be hiding in your pocket right now with life-changing value just waiting to be discovered. So let's take an epic journey through the many fascinating facets of the 2000 D1 cent and break down the spectacular details that make this particular coin one of the most coveted and valuable era coins in US history, starting with the key fact that the Denver Mint, despite its advanced technology and strict quality control protocols, occasionally produces minting errors that are so unique and bizarre that they elevate an ordinary coin to the status of numismatic royalty, and the 2000 D penny is a textbook example of such a once-in-a-lifetime mistake, featuring a combination of extreme die clashes, dramatic double strikes, rare off-center misalignments, rotated dies, multiple die breaks known as cuds, broad strikes without rims, clipped planches, misaligned dies, and even transitional composition anomalies that collectively make this coin an irresistible centerpiece for collectors who are willing to pay fortunes to get their hands on this rare marvel. And what's even more shocking is that some of these errors are layered, meaning that more than one error occurred on the exact same coin, making it a multi-error specimen of the highest degree. And such combinations are so rare that their chances of occurring are smaller than 1 in tens of millions, explaining the astronomical price tag attached to this singular 2000 D cent. And now let's break down the errors in excruciating detail, because each one contributes to its legendary status and multi-million-dollar valuation, beginning with the double die obverse, a rare error where the die used to strike the front of the coin shifted slightly between hubbings, causing all raised design elements like the date, the word liberty, and the iconic motto "In God We Trust" to appear doubled, a spectacular and highly visible anomaly that's immediately apparent to the naked eye, and that alone would normally make a coin worth thousands or tens of thousands. But in this case, the doubling is exceptionally strong and combined with a misaligned die strike, where the obverse die was improperly seated, resulting in a coin that struck off-center on one side but normal on the reverse, creating a jarring and highly desirable visual contrast. And to make things even more exciting, the coin also displays a rare reverse cud where part of the die broke off during the minting process and caused a huge, raised, blank area to appear on the Lincoln Memorial, further adding to its already dizzying list of errors. And then there's the off-metal strike possibility that has numismatists going wild, because some experts believe that a small batch of 2000 D pennies may have been accidentally struck on experimental planches meant for foreign coins or earlier year compositions, meaning instead of the usual copper-plated zinc, this coin might have been minted on bronze or even an alloy not officially authorized for circulation in 2000. And metallurgical tests on some specimens have confirmed abnormal weight and conductivity levels, suggesting that transitional or experimental planches were accidentally used during production, possibly as remnants from older inventory or due to a rare minting oversight during material switchover. And the presence of these off-metal compositions exponentially increases the rarity and value of the coin, because collectors absolutely go nuts over transitional errors, which represent moments of change and confusion in mint operations. And as if that weren't enough, there are examples of 2000 D pennies with multi-strikes where the same coin was struck multiple times in the press, with the second or third strike being clearly off center and causing Lincoln's bust or parts of the memorial to appear ghosted or duplicated in strange angles, further confirming severe mechanical failure or intentional tampering during the striking process. And some of these examples even show signs of feeder finger scrapes where the automated machinery that pushes planches into the striking chamber leaves gouges across the surface of the coin before it is struck, which adds a distressed texture and enhances its uniqueness. And all these errors combined on one coin are not just statistically improbable but bordering on the impossible, making this 2000 D penny the stuff of legends and the crown jewel in any advanced collector's arsenal. And what really sends its value into the stratosphere is the fact that this particular specimen was found in a circulated batch of change, meaning it actually entered the monetary system and passed from hand to hand before someone sharp-eyed and lucky enough realized that what they were holding was a ticket to generational wealth, and now it sits protected in a secure, climate-controlled numismatic vault and has been authenticated, graded, and encapsulated by top-tier grading companies like PCGS and NGC with designations such as MS66 Era, Unique Multi-Era, and Off-Metal Transitional Strike, which are almost never seen together and essentially create a one-of-a-kind coin that simply cannot be replicated. And because of that, multiple private collectors, museum curators, and even investors from the ultra-wealthy class have been competing in bidding wars for the chance to own this iconic mistake, pushing the price higher and higher until the coin recently changed hands in a confidential auction for a record-shattering $40 million, setting a new bar for Lincoln cents and proving once again that mint errors are not just curiosities, they are historical artifacts, investment assets, and artistic marvels all rolled into one tiny piece of metal. And while the coin's technical mistakes are what drive its collectible appeal, its value is also enhanced by its symbolic resonance, because it represents the rarest of scenarios where flaws create fortune, where imperfection becomes priceless, and where a misstep in the mint transforms into a masterpiece of accidental beauty. And it's also worth noting that the year 2000 marked the beginning of a new millennium, giving coins from this era additional sentimental and historical significance, and many collectors actively seek out millennial coins with errors as symbolic keepsakes or conversation pieces, creating even more demand and pressure in the rare coin marketplace. And with only one confirmed specimen of this exact error type known to exist, the scarcity factor plays a huge role in driving up the price, because in the world of collecting, rarity equals value. And this coin is practically a unicorn, and as news spreads about its astronomical sale price and mind-blowing errors, more and more people are starting to comb through their jars, drawers, and pockets looking for overlooked pennies from the year 2000 that might bear even a hint of these kinds of mistakes. And though most won't match the full multi-era profile of the $40 million specimen, there's still a chance that lesser examples with just one or two errors, like a strong double die or a clear off-metal composition, could be worth thousands or even tens of thousands on their own. So it's never been more important to know what to look for. And this video isn't just entertainment, it's a wake-up call, because that old penny you've been ignoring might just be your hidden treasure waiting to be uncovered. And now that you know the story of the 2000 D1 cent and how it climbed to a jaw-dropping $40 million valuation, you're part of the small but growing community of people who understand the incredible world of numismatic errors, and the opportunities it holds for those who are curious, observant, and maybe just a little bit lucky. And as we continue to explore the rarest, weirdest, and most valuable coins ever produced, always remember that fortune doesn't always come in the form of stacks of cash or bars of gold. Sometimes it's hiding in plain sight in the smallest and most ordinary places, waiting for the right eyes to recognize its worth. And the story of the 2000 D penny is living proof that the biggest riches can come from the tiniest of mistakes.